Hello, everybody. So, is it the calm before the storm for MSTR stock, for strategy? Let's go through a few comments, a few rumors about people shorting the stock and JP Morgan. We're going to talk about that. Before, I want to talk about, of course, no buy this week. And this is what I said yesterday as well. He did not tweet the dotted chart, and so that means he wasn't going to buy. That was anticipated. But you can see that Saylor is all in on credit. In fact, within the past 4 hours, he's just tweeting about the preferred and the success of the preferred, and also the volume, the weekly volume and the interest into that credit. And of course, it's worth noting that Stretch is up. Stretch is continuing to get back towards 100. And it looks like Stretch is going to get helping to get to 100 thanks to the Fed. Because if I look at the odds of a rate cut in December, they're back on 77% of them odds now of rate cuts in December. So that means that he may not have to raise the dividend as much in order to get Stretch back to 100. And we remember how successful he was on the 3 days and a half that Stretch was at 100. Once Stretch is at 100, Saylor can ATM like crazy on this instrument. This is still the iPhone moment for strategy, but we've just had liquidity issues in the market. Anyways, and so it looks like, of course, Saylor has moved on from the common ATM for now. In my view, it's likely that it just uses the common ATM in order to pay the quarterly dividends. Mostly, that's kind of what I think, and even then, that's not so certain, right? Because there's a little bit of cash flow from the business. So even then, that is not so certain. We just know that he's going to use the different ATMs and different instruments in order to generate a dividend that is a ROC dividend, that is a return of capital dividend. So as he mentioned on the call, whatever funds he uses to pay the dividend, he'll make sure that it's a return of capital dividend. But he's moved on from the common ATM. He's moved on from issuing the common ATM, I think. Mostly moved on. And of course, it's understandable that he's moved on from doing that. Why? Because we have reached another MNAV all-time low, 0.879. I have never seen it this low for strategy. What this means is that strategy is still dropping. You can see today, we are only up 1.7% as I record this video, while Bitcoin is up 3%. Bitcoin has rebounded nicely from the catastrophic Friday that we had last week. Friday was a catastrophe. Bitcoin hit 80,000. The market needs to come back to its senses, and that's going to take a little time. That's why I say this video is calm before the storm. We're going to come back. That's my view. But you know, there's been so much turmoil, so much madness since October 10 in the crypto market. There's so much noise out there, so much noise on X, that unfortunately the MNAV of strategy and all of the Bitcoin treasury has just been in a slow, relentless decline, and now it is just too cheap. But strategy, make no mistake, strategy is now the only company where really the MNAV doesn't matter anymore, because they've moved on. They don't do the common ATM anymore. They now do the prefs, they do the preferreds. And of course, more astute Bitcoin treasury companies out there are copying the playbook of the preferreds and doing the preferreds, right? Metaplanet did that, ASST did that, so it's catching on. The preferreds are catching on. We don't need MNAV anymore. We don't need it anymore. And so that's why I think the market will come back to its senses at some point. We may have a calm before the storm. This is definitely the boring, calm, slow decline. The decline, and I know it makes people mad when I say that the decline of strategy has been slow. Yes, the decline of strategy has been slow. Look at the chart. Compare it to Metaplanet's decline. Compare it to, I don't know, Naka's decline. Go compare the decline of strategy compared to the other big treasury companies in the sector. You'll see that strategy has dropped the least out of them all. The least. So anyways, let's talk about the short seller rumors. So the problem with short selling is that it's very opaque. We never really know, and short selling, the data really comes out. It comes out late, and often we only get data like every 15 days. So there's fewer short sales. I mean, based on what I see on the long-term chart, this is a market beat, I believe, the website. If you go on the long-term chart, we actually have a little less shorts than we used to have. We used to have way more shorts in Q2 and Q3. But this is old data. This is kind of outdated data. Unfortunately, it's tough to get access to real-time data on the shorts, and frankly, short selling is a topic I don't care about, so I don't even know how to get that most recent data. But anyways, it's a lot. For a company this size, it's about 10% of a float still. At least it was 20 days ago. About 10% of a float. So that's actually a lot. A lot of people are shorting MSTR. And we've had these rumors from people which, quite frankly, are most likely much more informed than me, for sure, and than most of us. Max Kaiser. So Max Kaiser, as Saylor has called him before, the high priest of Bitcoin. Of course, a Bitcoin evangelizer from the early day, Max Kaiser, saying that he may have data that, there's a short position, that JP Morgan could be threatened by a short position, tweeting at Fox Business. Anyways, that has gone viral. That tweet has gone viral, 1.3 million. And then you had Jack Mallers, talking about his framed closure of his bank accounts by JP Morgan. And so X is all about criticizing JP Morgan right now, saying that JP Morgan is if you own shares of strategy via JP Morgan, they may be shorting. They may be lending your shares so that they can short them. So you should move them to a cash account. We see all of this. To me, that's mostly a nothing burger. To me, when people are hoping for a short squeeze, it's short-term investing, and that's not what I do. I invest for this stock past the 2030s. So to me, that doesn't really matter. But people like to talk about the now. People like to talk about what's going on right now, and I can't help to notice that this has gained some traction. You now have big publication, right? The Street. That's Jim Cramer's publication. So let's take that with a grain of salt. But Yahoo Finance talking about it. JP Morgan accused of manufacturing the October 10 crash. It's true that the crypto crash of October 10, we still haven't recovered from those $19 billion liquidations. And we've had over the weekend this MSCI FUD, which for me accounts for nothing. For me, MSCI doesn't matter. It's just like the total world index fund. And frankly, think about this. How could you have a world index fund and not have a company like STRD in the world index fund? A top 300 or top 400 company by market cap, how could it not be included in a world index fund? But even then, these funds, these MSCI funds, they are not nearly as big as QQQ. QQQ is what matters, and QQQ is not impacted. And you had all of these articles who were pairing QQQ with MSCI, but QQQ is the Nasdaq. It's mechanistic. It is a mechanistic mandatory inclusion in QQQ. QQQ does not follow committees, and it's the important thing. And QQQ is not a threat, but these articles were mixing MSCI and QQQ. It made me so mad. You had all of these articles who were mixing QQQ, right? And I don't think we're going to get included into the S&P 500 anytime soon. But MSCI does not impact the S&P 500 at all either, if you were on the train to believe that we're going to be in the S&P 500. I think S&P 500 will be very late to add strategy. But anyways, this kind of annoyed me. It's not a big deal, and it's not the QQQ. And so that's FUD. So is there FUD going on right now? There's a lot of FUD going on right now. A lot of people are very upset. When people lose money, they're very upset. But if you've been in strategy for a very long time, for multiple years, you have not lost money with strategy. You've actually made money. Right? If you've been in this stock for more than 2 years, like many of us have had, you've made money. And lastly, last point about JP Morgan. So JP Morgan, some people say, could be shorting. Strategy, well, let me tell you about JP Morgan. It's a very large organization. It's the largest financial institution in the US, JP Morgan. And so you have different groups within JP Morgan. It's a very nebulous organization. And in fact, you have people at JP Morgan who are bullish. Like, for example, JP Morgan analysts see Bitcoin at 170,000 within the next 6 to 12 months. So you have people at JP Morgan that are very bullish about Bitcoin. And in fact, Jamie Dimon and many of his managers have disagreed. Like, you've had JP Morgan saying, oh, you're going to lose, Jamie Dimon saying, oh, you're going to lose a lot of money if you touch it. And then at the same time, at the same bank, you have other analysts in other division who are bullish on Bitcoin. It's a very big organization. They have hundreds of thousands of employees. So it's not a unified view, right? It's like JP Morgan is like, think of it like a mini government where people disagree and managers, bankers over there disagree. So to me, this FUD, like, I understand that people are upset, but it's just FUD. And to me, my approach to strategy is that, fundamentally speaking, if Bitcoin is going to be the future of finance, strategy at some point will be one of the largest companies in the world at some point. And so that's why I own the common stock, and I own it for 2030 and beyond. And in my view, that's the only way to approach strategy. I'm not a trader. This is not a trader's channel. And if you can't stomach the volatility, which I understand that a lot of people can't stomach the volatility, then maybe the prefers are a better play, right? STRK, as I talked in my last video, STRK, for example, I find a pretty darn good play right now. Paying 10% return of capital, and you still get upside once strategy reaches $1,000 a share. So it's both long term and medium term, removing volatility. But to me, this is just a standard consolidation. Yes, it's been upsetting to see the stock slightly down, but MSTR is the blue chip in the sector. It has been nowhere near as much down as a lot of the other treasury companies, and so I'm still happy about the stock. People want to boycott, people want to talk about all that sort of stuff. I don't think that's going to do much to the stock. I think the stock is going to recover as Bitcoin recovers. Remember, Bitcoin is still trading at a catastrophic 87K. I mean, we're happy about 87K right now. We breathe because we were at 80 Friday, but it's still very catastrophic. Bitcoin still went so low compared to what anybody could have anticipated. I mean, at least me, I didn't anticipate that. I think very, very few people saw that coming. So anyways, this was not investment advice. This is not financial advice. This is only entertainment on this channel. I hope you were entertained. Please like, please subscribe, follow me on Patreon, follow me on X. Thank you for watching, and have a wonderful, wonderful day.